So Nicole, Chelsea, and I are headed to Tucson on Sunday night, and we'll be there for a week shopping for you all. I've been in business, the Dreaming Goddess, for 25 years. This year, it's 25 years. It's so hard to believe that almost half my life I've been doing this. 25 years ago, it was really hard to find crystals, and I went to a couple of shows here and there. It was nothing like it is today, and I'm grateful. People are awakening to the vibration of crystals and how to use them to enhance your life and bring peace and calm to yourself, to your family, for healing. It's all really wonderful. You know, I love that crystals and stones are trendy right now. With that comes crystals at the Rite Aid, or you can get them at Michael's, and you have to go, where'd they come from? What kind of frequency do they have? So I'm not knocking the crystals that you can get at Michael's or wherever, but for those of you who want to use crystals for your healing practice and for healing in general, you want to really be careful about the vibration and the way that the crystal's been handled and processed and shipped, and all those things come into play. I feel really fortunate that 25 years later, I now have amazing relationships with the people that I buy my crystals from. And what does that mean for you? That means that I have hand-picked amazing stones for you from my heart. Now, 25 years later, we have a whole new store that just has crystals, right? So we call that the Dragon's Garden. So all the crystals that are in the Dragon's Garden have been hand-picked. That says a lot. But secondly, I'm connecting with my vendors, my crystal suppliers, on all different kinds of levels. So I'm sitting next to a table of crystals that a dear, dear friend of mine from Brazil brings once or twice, maybe 3 times a year. I get to see him nowadays. He's an older gentleman. He's been coming to the States for over 50 years. He's been doing the Tucson show for 50 plus years, and he grew up in the mines. We talk about the miners, we talk about his employees, we talk about what's happening in Brazil. I get a lot of stories. I get to process with him about what it's like to get the crystals from his mines into the States. We talk about customs, we talk about fair wages, we talk about all of the things that are important to us. He cares about the miners. He cares about miners that are struggling, and that's when he will cry. That makes my heart feel full and rich to know that I'm buying crystals from someone who cares about his miners' families, their children, where they go to school. It all makes a huge difference. So when you buy these crystals, they're coming from that man. They've come from his mine, his miner's hands, to the barrels, to the States. There's nothing else in between. Like, that feels so magical that the crystals are being shaped by someone. His name is Potato, no lie. That's what his name is. And we talk about it. I knew when he was sick last year. I knew how he got better by some of the crystals that were sent from the States for him. I mean, they did this really amazing thing. That matters to me. And so that's the magic of buying your stones from someone who cares. When I go to Tucson, now Tucson is a completely citywide event where there are thousands and thousands of dealers to buy from. But I have now, 5 years into my journey, again, built relationships with the vendors. Again, it matters to me that I have a relationship with them. I get to know, what have you gone to get these here? And that matters. The other thing about Tucson is that it also is the most grandiose experience of seeing stones in their magnificence, and with that comes this bittersweet peace. Like, I can't change how everybody mines their crystals. Like, that's just the truth of what's happening. And me stopping buying the crystals isn't going to change that. And so having a conscious miner makes all the difference in the world. How do I feel about giant walls of amethyst that are being mined from the earth? I have that internal debate. Yes, they're beautiful, they're magnificent. And what happens when we take that massive piece of amethyst from, so I get choked up, like I wanna, like it feels emotional to me. Like, what happens to the earth when we take that from her, when we take her bones out? I don't know. I guess we'll find out one day. And the energy's not leaving the planet, it's leaving her internals. So that's something that each of us have to figure out on our own and process that piece. And it is magnificent to stand next to a piece that size. So there's lots of controversy, and there's lots of love, and there's lots of good energy. And so we all have to feel that out for ourselves and come to peace with what we need to work through. I'm excited to be part of the crystal experience and the crystal awakening, and I'm delighted to be able to gift that to you through my journeys. So when we get back from Tucson, ask us all kinds of questions. We'll have lovely stories. And know that you are loved. Mwah.